My name is Ivy Getanda. Welcome to 2CBN TV, a channel where we reach out to people in all generations. And today, I welcome you to this show entitled Unlock Yourself with Christ. I repeat, unlock yourself with Christ. In a world where we are locked down with challenges from depression, suicide, trauma, early pregnancies, and depression, and pressure from our parents, we need to be unlocked. Welcome to this show whereby we unlock ourselves, but this time with Christ. Today's show is about finances. How do we go about these finances? Welcome and stay on board. Thank you. Hello viewers, welcome back to Unlock Yourself with Christ series. I'm your host Ivy Getanda, and today we are going to do our second episode entitled Finances. In a world where there are a lot of challenges, one of the major key challenges that we go through are finances. How do we go about them? Ever wondered how and why we should actually keep a certain form of financial management? Yeah, let's find out today. But this time with Christ. Like I said, unlock yourself with Christ. Our guest today is Victoria Kemunto. She is a graduate from Actuarial Science. She is a certified public accountant, that is CPA, and she's also an IT enthusiast. That's a great person we have today. She has a wide experience in the field of finance. She's my good friend. I'd invite her to say hi to us in the best way she knows.
Hello viewer, my name is Victoria Kemunto, a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I love God.
Wow, you're so happy, you're so smiley. I believe this will be the same spirit we'll have all through the session as we find out how do we go about finances. Thank you. I will begin with a word of prayer. Let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. Dear Jesus, I pray that you may be with us, guide us as we discuss on how to go about finances, how we should be good stewards, and how we can go about it on our daily lives. Guide us and protect us. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Amen. Well, finances, it's an interesting kind of topic to start with. As you grew up as Victoria, what was your perception, rather what is your perception about money? Because me, I used to feel money is for those old people who are rich, who are like over 30 and they are working. So for me, who is around 18 years or 17, I shouldn't be having such money. It's just for those old people. When I get there, I will have it. But for now, let me just stay as I am. So what is your perception?
I think money is a resource, just like water and every other resource that God provides. But it is up to us to know how to use money wisely and how to make money wisely and in an integral manner, not only in a way that will make us worse Christians, So we need to make money, but in an integral manner. So money is not bad. I mean, in the Bible, yes, it says that it is very hard for a rich man to get into heaven. But you also see examples of rich men who get into heaven.
Like Abraham.
Exactly. So I think money is a good thing. It's just a matter of how do you get your money and how do you manage it wisely. And it's a habit that you inculcate. Just like every other thing in our lives, like you learn how to be a good person as opposed to a bad person.
Yes.
Learn how to manage your money wisely from the earliest age that you can master how to.
Yes, money is a good thing. You just know how, you should know how to manage it, right?
Yes.
Let me give you an example or a case in point. 3 years ago, I used to earn some amount of money. And I worked for this company for 4 months. And guess what? After those 4 months, I didn't have any cash. I was using every time I earned after a month, I use it on buying something, some shoes, some dress, and it's gone. The next month I earn like that. And I ended up regretting so badly because I lost a whole amount of money. And I came to realize later that I didn't have some saving culture in me. So that brings the aspect of saving. What are savings?
Okay. Thank you very much for the question, Ivy. So to address this matter, let us first rewind our clocks back, yeah? So ever since we were born to know that you're this kind of people. Oh, your parents will always provide for you, yeah? You get money, oh, I'll spend it and my parents will take care of it, yeah? So now you get to a point, okay, now you're in campus, your parents now start giving you money and they expect you to know how to manage it. But most of the youth have no idea how to manage their money. So your scenario is not actually unique. A lot of youths go through this because they go through their first paycheck and they're like, okay, I'll just buy everything I want, yeah? But for us to first know how to manage our finances wisely, there's one important concept we need to know how to separate. We need to know what are our needs, what are our wants, yeah? So our needs are the basic needs, yeah? A roof over your head, clothes on your body, food in your stomach, shoes on your feet. Do you have those? Yes, you do. Yes. So now once you know how to demarcate what are your needs, so what are your wants? Oh, the latest phone. Oh, I need to go on holiday. Oh, I want a gym membership. Those are wants, things that you can live without. So a rule of thumb I use is that whenever you earn any amount of money, I use the 50-30-20 rule.
50-30-20 rule.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it makes up 100% of any paycheck that you'll ever receive. So what's 50? You get 50% of your earnings and you take them towards your needs. Yeah? That is your house rent, your transport to and from work, your food, everything that you need. That is 50% of your money, yeah? And then the next 30% is things that you want. You want the latest iPhone out of that 30%.
You want some nice shoes like the choristers' shoes? Get them.
Exactly. And then the last 20%, which is often misunderstood to be the least, but I think it's the most important, it is pay yourself first. So that is your financial goals. That's the 20% that you actually need to actually be very, very strict about. That whenever you receive any money, the first thing, pay yourself.
Pay yourself.
Pay yourself.
Okay.
How do you pay yourself? In savings and in investments. So now so we have said 50%, 30%, and 20%. But that 20% is the most important money that you'll ever get out of any paycheck.
So you say 50, 20, 30. 50, 30, 20. Sorry, it's a rule that you apply on any kind of paycheck you receive.
Exactly.
Whether you are a student or an employee. Yes. You apply the 50, 20, 30 rule. Thank you so much for that brilliant kind of explanation. You've brought in an aspect called investments. You've mentioned it. And someone may be wondering, what are these investments? And it seems like a big word. Please break it down for us to understand it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the question. So let me take you back. If I had 1,000 shillings in the year 2000 and I put it under my mattress, yeah, and now we are in 2020, right? So in the year 2000, 1,000 shillings will have brought me a
lot of things.
Exactly. Yeah, but right now, go to the supermarket with 1,000 shillings and you'll be miserable, right?
Buy like 3 things or 4.
Exactly. So why is that? It's because of something we call time value of money.
Value of money.
Exactly. So what happens is that as you keep on going, as time passes by, money keeps on losing its value because of things like inflation, right? A loaf of bread in the year 2000 was probably 4 shillings or I don't know, maybe 4 shillings, right? Right now, a loaf of bread is 50 shillings. Why? Because money is quote unquote losing its value. So if I take if I like, say for instance, whatever amount you are earning and you took 20%, say that 20% is 1,000 bob every month. So if I keep collecting my 1,000 shillings, but I just put it under my mattress, that is what we call saving. Yeah. So you just keep collecting your 20%, yeah, but you put it under your mattress. Yeah. It is important to save. Why? Because as a rule of thumb, for whatever situation you are in right now, okay, let me ask you, like when you had the job for the 4 months, your lifestyle during those 4 months and your lifestyle after the 4 months, how does it compare?
It was totally different. I had to change the way I was dressing and food. Things totally changed because the money was not there anymore.
Exactly. Why? Because you did not try to plan ahead and think, after these 4 months, what am I going to do, right? So out of every employment situation, you need to cover or have a buffer for yourself for the next 6 months. So that is a rule of thumb. So that is your savings. That's what your saving goes towards, yeah?
Okay.
As a buffer for you for the next 6 months if anything were to happen right now. Yeah. Now, investment is we keep on collecting. You remember the 1,000 bob that you just kept on collecting? But now, instead of putting it under a mattress, put it somewhere where it will start growing. Yeah. So that the amount of things that you could have bought in the year 2000 will be the same amount of
you
things
buy this year,
or even more if you're lucky enough. Yeah. So that is investing. Yeah. So it's making your money grow. That is where you hear things like make your money work for you.
Savings is just putting money aside, but investing is putting money aside that has potential to grow. And also what I've gotten from that is that we should save towards a goal. Don't just save blindly. Save towards a goal. Because it gives you some sense of discipline. You know, I want to get this by this time. I want to do this by this time. So you will have that saving culture inside you naturally because of the discipline and the goal that has helped you gain that discipline.
Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful. So going further into investments, someone may be wondering, or as young people or older people, what are some of the ways we can invest even as Christians, as we are, as young people? How can we get into investments?
Okay, I'd like to reiterate something that Ivy has said. So she has said that when you start investing, have a goal in mind, yeah? So right now, what do you have in mind? Do you want to go ahead and pay for your own masters? Do you want to go ahead buy a plot? Do you want to go ahead buy a house? What do you want to do? So, and once you have that goal in mind, have a clear timeline, right? Make smart goals. That's what we say. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals in your life, right? So smart goals. So say I want to buy a house in the next 3 years, yeah? And this house that I want to buy will probably cost me 20 million Kenyan shillings, yeah? And so now from there, that is where now we start piggybacking or going the reverse way to try to calculate what should we do in order to attain that goal that we want to be in or those shoes that we want to be in the next 3 years. So now, whenever you're investing, there are things that you have to keep in mind. The golden rule of thumb in investments is the higher the risk, the higher the return. And the converse is also true. The lower the risk, the lower the return. Yes. So now, how does this happen? So there are high-risk people. There are people who really love risk. They'll be like, hey, give me my money. I'll take it somewhere. And I'm praying and hoping and crossing all my fingers. This money will work, yeah? And this project will work. Some people will be like, I am not very much of a risk taker. I am risk averse. So I want my money to settle just somewhere, yeah? Just cancel out those effects of inflation. I'm good, yeah?
I'm okay with it the way it is.
Exactly, yeah? And then there are those ones who are medium risk takers, yeah? So now we start with the people who are risk averse, yeah? So for those ones who don't love risks, what are some of the investment things that you can actually go ahead and invest in? So one of them is treasury bills and bonds, yeah? So treasury bills and bonds is like the government telling you, we need money for a project, and then when we finish, we'll return for you with a specific interest amount, yeah? So it's usually specified the term and the return. And so after the period has lapsed, the government will give you back your money and your interest will be paid for whatever you signed up for, right? So right now, the Kenyan government's treasury bills and bonds are averaging at around 9%, yeah, of return per year. So that's the first instrument. That's treasury bills and bonds. The second one is what we call your traditional fixed deposit account in your bank. When you walk in there, they'll tell you, oh yeah, we have a fixed deposit account. You can come deposit money with us. So right now, that for the Kenyan banks, it's averaging at around 6 to 7% per annum of return. Yeah,
that's the interest.
Yes, that's your interest.
Okay.
So that's 6 to 7% per annum. And then the third thing is something we call money market fund. Yeah. So what is money market fund and unit trusts? Is usually that they're investment companies, and these companies where they'll tell you, oh yeah, we know, Ivy, you have your small amount of money, but you see, we have 1 million investors who have their little small amounts of money. And so when you put all this together, it will become a huge amount which you can invest and then give you a specific rate of return. And most of the time in the daily newspapers, you'll actually see those rates of the return at the end of the newspaper. So now those are the three major ways of investing if you have a low risk appetite.
So the low risk places you can go to are money market funds, the
Unit
traditional banking account, like your bank in short, and there's also treasury bills and bonds. Exactly. Just before we continue, I would like to give an example of the Bible. There was a man who went to 3 people, his workers, and to the first one he gave 5 talents. The second one he gave 2, and the last one he gave 1. And he went away for long. Let me emphasize, he went for long. And after he came back, he came to the servants and he asked them, what do you have left in your hands? And the one he gave 5 said, you gave me 5, I have doubled it. The master was impressed and he was happy. To the second one, he asked, what do you have left with you? He said, I have doubled it as well. And he was happy. Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast done well. And to the last one, whom he gave 1, he went and he was like, you know the way you approach your parents when you've done something wrong. I'm sorry, I don't have it here, but I hid it somewhere in a hole so that it is safe. And the master was angry and he chased him away. That means this example gives us an analogy where God requires of us to be risk takers and people who go out and multiply what he has already given to us. Not just in terms of finances as we are speaking, but also in terms of talents. Whatsoever we have in our hands, he requires of us to multiply it. And that is required of each and every one of us who is a child of God. As we proceed, we had started with the low risk. Before we continue to the high risk investments and more that are ahead, I'd allow us to go for a short break. Please grab a cup of soya or some fruit and come back energized to learn more with us. Welcome back, fellow viewers. It was nice to be with you in the first half of the session. In case you're new here, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share. We are talking about finances, and this show is entitled Unlock Yourself with Christ. So we will proceed. We have been talking about how to go about savings and investments, what are finances, and right now we are talking about investments. We have categorized them into 2. They are low risk kind of investments and high risk kind of investments. So at this juncture, we will proceed to high risk kind of investments with our very own Victoria, who is still smiling and very happy. Yes, so Victoria, you mentioned the low risk kind of investments. What are these high risk for someone who is a risk taker and they really want big things and they really want to go for it? What are some of the ways we can go about it?
Thank you very much, Ivy. So for the high risk, we are looking at the first thing that you're going to talk about is equities. Equities are your shares and stocks, yeah? So let's start with listed and unlisted companies. What are listed companies? In whichever location you're watching us from, be it Kenya, Tanzania, US, there's usually the body which its mandate is actually to watch the shares trading, yeah? And decide all matters pertaining that. So here in Kenya, it is called the Nairobi Stock Exchange, yeah? So any company that trades with the Nairobi Stock Exchange, yeah, that is called a listed company.
Listed company.
Yes.
Okay.
An unlisted company, and so listed companies, they have an initial public offering. So that is, they invite anyone and everyone to buy their shares, yeah?
Okay.
If you have the money, buy. If you don't want to sell, yeah? Yeah, so that's a listed company. An unlisted company is any other company that still wants money, but they do not know how to go about it. So they are not trading with your local stock exchange. Yeah, so that's an unlisted company. So what are shares? Shares are like units of ownership. So a company is telling you, give me 100 shillings, and then I'll give you like a percentage of my company, right? And so what happens in shares is that you get your returns through either selling the shares or dividends, yeah? So what is selling the shares? It is always important to note that whenever you're buying shares, you buy low, you sell high. What do I mean by that? Buy your share at like 10 shilling a share, sell it when it's at 30 shillings a share. Don't wait for the very good news for this company to erupt and then you're like, you know what, I'm going to buy my share at 30 shillings. And then the moment you hear this company is having some issues, you're like, no, thank you, let me sell, right? So if you do that, what will happen? You will buy at 30, sell at 10, and then you'll have made a loss of 20. And then you'll come back and say, Ivy, you told us to invest. It's because you're not investing in the right way, right?
Sure.
Okay, so now that's shares, yeah? So that's one of the way of making a profit in shares. You never know what will happen, and that's why it's very high risk, yeah? And then the other thing, for shares, if you're doing it and you're not an active stock trader, I'll advise you go long term, don't go short term. Now, the other way a share will pay you back is through dividends. What are dividends? So every year after the company has announced its profit, they'll say, now as a thank you to our investors, yeah, to return some of that money you gave us, we will declare a dividend of with whatever amount they want to declare. Dividends are usually a very small percentage of earnings, but it is money you did not expect. So we will say hallelujah and take the dividends, right?
Okay.
Yes, so that is a public company that is listed, and that is how you invest in it. Now, there are those which are not listed, and they'll come to you and tell you, okay, I need a specific amount of money to run with this project, yeah? But most of the unlisted companies, they'll have barriers to entry. What do I mean by barriers to entry? They'll probably say, for you to invest here, you need 1 million bob or 200,000 Kenyan shillings, yeah? So depending on the company, it varies from company to company. So, and then they'll give you like their terms and conditions, yeah? So how much rate they'll give you back, and if they'll give you back after how long, yeah? What are the risks attached? So these are some of the instruments that we're talking about for the unlisted companies. Another type of thing that companies offer is called a commercial paper. What's a commercial paper? It's like this company wants a loan, but it doesn't want a loan from a bank. You see, the same way the government will give you bonds and bills to treasury bills and bonds for you to actually go trade in, and then that money, it's the government which is literally asking you for money to invest in whatever project they want. So for companies that also happens, but its equivalent is called a commercial paper. Yeah, so that's another way of investing, but it is high risk. Note, we are talking about high risk investments. So that is equities. Yes, equities. The other ways, there are also all manner of unstructured solutions. So what do I mean by unstructured solutions? A company will come and tell you, oh, we are doing this with our customers, we're getting so much money, and then we'll invest it somewhere, be it in real estate, be it in treasury bills and bonds, and then we'll give you back. Yeah? Most of the higher risk, they won't be regulated. Yeah. So for the lower risk, like the mutual funds, why are they lower risk? Because they're regulated by some government body. These ones won't be regulated. So if things go really haywire, they'll sink with your money. So beware of those. No, but it will give you also a higher risk of return. That's the plus side. For instance, a government bill and bond, like in our low risk, I think the highest that you're going to get is like 10%. In the higher risk, you can make even up to 20-25%. But remember, when the deal is too good, think twice. And thrice.
I've been asking myself, this money seems a lot. Like I need 200,000 and I don't even have like half of it or even a quarter of it right now. How much, and what's the entry point for this risk companies or risk investments that I can use? So if someone is getting like 10,000 monthly, or someone is not even getting anything, they just have pocket money, how can they benefit from this risk investments? How can they?
Okay. We will tackle, in the low risk, the entry points are really low as well. For instance, if you walk to your local bank, probably they'll tell you with 500 bob you can invest with us in our savings account. Yeah,
sure.
If you go to the treasury bills and bonds, for the Kenya, let me talk about Kenya, where I think I'm a bit familiar with. For most of them, they'll tell you you have to invest in multiples of 50,000 and above. But there's a project called Emakiba, where you can invest as low as 1,000 bob. Imagine 1,000 bob, and you already have. And because it's an infrastructure bond, it has a plus. You see, all of these investments that you're talking about, the government will always be the government. Yeah, they say that in life you're sure of two things: taxes and death. Now, taxes you're sure of, right? So, because even in your investments, the government will come and tell you, you know what, we charge a 15% withholding tax. Yeah. So what does that mean? If I invested at 1,000 bob, and I was promised a 10% rate of investment at the end of the year, what will happen? At the end of the year, also the government will come and tell me, 150 bob is mine. Take your 850. Bye. Yeah. So yeah. So with the Emakiba, because it's an infrastructure bond is not subject to withholding tax. Yeah. So the 10% you'll be given you 1,000 bob if you invested 10k, and then you'll be told bye. Thank you for investing. Yeah. So for the lower risks types of investment, the entry points are usually pretty low. Although for the treasury bills and bonds, if you're going for a traditional treasury bill or bond, that will be around 50k and above, and you invest in multiples of 50k. Now, let's come to the high risk side. For the high risk side, for a listed company, actually also for it, the entry point is really low. So you can invest whatever you have. And what happens with these ones is that in Kenya, you open what we call a CDSC account. That's a Central Depository and Settlement Corporation. This is the kind of account which will help you go ahead and either trade in bills, bonds, and shares, listed company shares. Yeah, that's the account that you need. Yeah, and so now once you have this account, how do you buy it? Visit a stock brokerage firm. And a stock brokerage firm, they're either, some of them you'll find them listed, or some of them, it's actually your local bank. And I'll tell you, in Kenya, a very good thing that the Nairobi Stock Exchange has actually done. They have an app. And in their app, okay, go to the place and download it. But in their app, there's like a small icon there I saw that is listed that says, these are the stock brokers. So when you click there, you'll find a list of all the stock brokers. Then you can choose yours. Yeah. And so you will trade with the stockbroker. So the stockbroker is who will buy and sell for you shares, but the CDSC and the NSC, that's their work.
Oh, interesting. I am learning a lot. I don't know if you are learning too. Please feel free to type any questions or comments in the comment section. We will respond to them promptly. If you have any questions directed to Victoria or I, feel free to do that. And we'll proceed to something else. Thank you for shedding light on what these high risk and low risk investments are. In this world, there's a rural to urban migration, isn't it?
Yeah.
And most of this, it's still ongoing, especially in the 21st century. When people move from the rural areas to come to the urban areas, most of them live in a poor kind of lifestyle because they're looking for jobs which are not there, especially during this COVID-19 season. They live in a certain condition that they don't like or it's not good. So what comes with this is the issue of finances. Let's picture someone who lives in such a lifestyle. How would they go about the finances? How would they manage them? And how do they even get them in the first place?
Okay, thank you very much. I've actually remembered something once you talked about managing your finances. The other thing that I forgot to mention is that you need to track your budget. Yeah, I cannot tell you what I've been spending money on unless I've been tracking and actually writing it down. So you either write it down through an Excel sheet where you can create your Excel sheet, get your budget, and then you can go ahead and actually note down all your expenses. Or you can go ahead and download an app. I'm pretty sure Google is your friend. If you Google right now apps for tracking your spend, there are a lot. And you'll just put in everything and then they'll do the analysis for you.
Yeah.
Now, back to this person who's in the rural area. Take advantage of technology. Yeah. So right now, most of this, whatever we are saying, the NSC accounts, and we are talking about stock brokerage. I've just talked about an app. Yeah. So if you have access to a smartphone, use that. Invest in shares. Yeah. And then, for instance, if you're talking about, say you want to invest in a treasury bill and bond, like the Emakiba bond, you can actually invest in it using a USSD. What's a USSD? It's like, you see the way...
*144# star 3. Yeah.
That's your USSD. So if you Google the Emakiba USSD, you'll actually find one. And it's as simple as investing using your USSD and M-Pesa, yeah? So there's a lot of opportunities out there. You want to save. In M-Pesa menu, there's M-Shwari, yeah? And there's KCB savings and loans, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these which are right at your fingertips. So take advantage of those. So what you're saying is that whichever area you live in, if you live in a rural area, once you have saved those little amounts of money, yeah, so you've been saving 5,000, 10,000 via your Mshwari, via your KCB M-Pesa account, via your Emakiba, and now you've reached a certain amount. Say you've reached 50k, and you're like, now with this one, I want to invest in a treasury bills and bond, yeah. So now you can go to the nearest town and talk to an investment company if there's one near you, and tell them, and then they will guide you through the process. Or even nowadays there's Google. Google is your friend. Google and find out how to invest yourself. Yeah. So now you can go to the nearest town for those things which you think they'll need a physical transaction to happen. Yeah. But with technology nowadays, it's very few things that need physical transactions to happen. Most of them, they're right at your fingertips.
Nice, awesome. Thank you so much for that illustration. I also like to add that we have options, like if you have something in your hands, we have preempted like that God requires of us to multiply that which we have in our hands. You may be thinking, these are some ways. I assure you that there are ways that work, and there's also starting up a business. You can start up a business or something that you look for a need in society and provide the solution. And once you provide the solution, it will give you returns.
Yes.
That's another way of you investing.
Yes.
If you feel like going along this way would be tedious for you, there are other ways you can do it. Look for that need in society, then give a solution to it. Ask around, ask your friends, what is this one thing you feel like it's not being offered so nicely in the government or in our country? And if you have a solution, if you can create an app, if you can start up a business selling something, start it, and it will bring you returns. Just as we...
Just before you proceed, I've remembered something. When you have said that starting a business and all, you see right now in this corona period and all, this is when a real life lesson has come through, that all of us need to think about 2 to 3 ways that you'll be generating income, right? So for instance, starting a business, you're in employment, still start a business so that you can have a side hustle, yeah? So I think the corona times are really teaching us the importance of having those extra lines of income that we did not have before.
Sure. Yeah. Wow, nice. And this brings us to, as we come to a close, I'd like us to also look at something. I used to have certain apps in my phone, like Branch, Okash, and many others. And there's a time in my life I loaned a lot of money in those apps, and I would go to Branch, get 1,000, go to Okash, get another 1,000, go to this one, another 1,000. This brings the aspect of loaning. What do you think about loans? Should it be something we just go and dive right into it, or we just averse it as much as we can? What is your thought on loans? Because I feel it has really affected most of us, especially those who are students, and you feel like your cash is over, you can't call home anymore. You just go to Okash and loan. Go to Branch, get another loan, and again. And that increases your loans, and they become so much, you end up not being able to pay. So what do you think?
I think in the matter of loans, it goes back to the very fundamentals we said, needs and wants, yeah? Are you taking a loan to buy the latest smartphone? That is not a very good idea, right? So what are you taking this loan for, yeah? And if it is not a want, if it's an absolute need that you're taking this loan for, is there some other way that you could have gotten the money, yeah? To put it in simple terms, let not the loan be a lazy way for you out. Let it be the last resort that you actually need to get these funds from, right? And so right now, I will say that for those who have taken lots and lots of loans, don't think that your life is over now because you have all the loans from all the apps. No. What happens in this case is that I'll advise you, the first thing that you need to do is to consolidate all your loans. So figure out, how much do I have in debt? This much. Okay, so out of all these debtors that I owe, which one is giving me the best terms and conditions in terms of the repayment time, in terms of the amount of interest they want me to repay? So which one has the best terms and conditions? And approach them and tell them you want to consolidate your loan. Most of them will actually accept. And this is a tip even for us at these times of Corona, because like in Kenya, I know the Central Bank of Kenya said, if you have loans, it told all the banks, go ahead and restructure your loans, for your customer. What does that mean? If you've been a very good steward and you've been repaying your loans very well, you can actually go to your bank and tell them, hey, I was affected by Corona, and so I will need time to pay you back. But I do not have any money right now. So you can take what's called a loan holiday or loan repayment holiday. So what does this mean? You can actually take a break of, I think right now it's up to 1 year of repaying that loan as you figure out your finances and then repay it later. And also remember, consolidate your loans, go to the most favorable person, tell them you want to consolidate all your loans with them, and most of the time they'll actually accept. So if you're stuck in debt, learn the ways of pulling yourself out of debt. But remember, don't take debt for the reasons that now I just want debt. No, take loans because it is not the lazy way out of anything that you want.
It is not a lazy way out of the way that you want. Thank you so much. That also brings the aspect of being a good steward. Anytime before you use your finance, you should ask yourself, am I a good steward? Is this pleasing in God's sight? Am I overspending it, or am I using it well? That is the question that should come to our heads every time. And I believe we have come to the end of it. I just want to highlight what you have gone through, and then Vicky will give us a parting shot, then we will close. I hope we have been together all through, and I believe you have learnt a lot. So we started with finding out what are savings and investments, then we went through and into the details of what are investments. We learnt about how to go about loans, how to go about it when you are not in a position to access these high risk and low risk investments, and how to go about it, and how to be a good steward as an individual and as a child of God. So Victoria, speak to one person or a lot of them who are in a position where they can't get themselves out of because they're in a financial crisis. What do you advise them to do, or how would you motivate them and make them feel like they're not alone and they can do it?
I would like to tell you that Rome was never built in a day. So start now, start small, be diligent and disciplined towards your savings, because even the Bible says that whoever is faithful in the little things, God will entrust them in the bigger things in life. So even if right now you're earning 10K and you cannot manage it wisely, trust me, even if I bump your salary up to $1 million, Bob, you still won't know how to manage it wisely. You'll probably hammer from where you are, go to a very posh neighborhood, but the moment that amount will come to an end, you'll still not know what to do. You'll just come back and tell me, oh, I still don't know what to do because I'm still very poor. So start now, start small, be diligent and disciplined towards your savings, and then God will keep on blessing you and blessing you in abundance. And also, because we are youth, we have the opportunity to actually take on bigger risks in life. So do not be afraid of investments. Invest, and invest wisely, and diversify your portfolio.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for that wonderful enlightening about our finances. I think we took a different approach from the way people usually view it, and we have learnt a lot. This was Unlock Yourself with Christ series, the issue on finances, and we have learnt that even when you're stuck and you feel like you are locked in that situation, you can still unlock yourself, but this time with Christ. Many times people have tried to remove themselves out of situations, but why can't we try it this time with Christ? Anytime you feel like you're stuck, always invite Christ. And Christ says that in Ephesians 3 verse 20, now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly more than you ask or imagine, according to his power that works within us. This God is able to remove you from that crisis you're in only if you give him your best, you put in your best foot forward, and he will do much and provide unto you exceedingly abundantly more than you can ask or imagine. I was your host, Ivy Getanda, and our guest was Victoria Kimunto. She will close with a word of prayer. Until next time.
Thank you. Let's bow down our heads and pray. Dear Lord, we have learned today that we need to be faithful stewards in whatever little that you have entrusted us with. May you help us so that we are faithful, and because, dear Lord, we have gained this knowledge, help us to implement it in our lives, not just to be hearers of the word, but to be doers of the word. May your will prevail in our lives, now and forevermore. We trust in Jesus' name. Amen.